A story of exile and childhood, of extraordinary obstacles and light at the end of the tunnel. Life Ahead, or La vie devant elle, is Manon Loizeau's latest documentary. The film follows Afghan teenager Elaha as she seeks a safe haven in Europe. Journalist and filmmaker Manon joins us in the studio to tell us more. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, this documentary gives us a really personal insight into something that's often dehumanized in headlines as a kind of abstract refugee crisis. This puts a name and a face to Elaha, her family, her parents, her brothers and sisters. It's your film, but it's also hers too, isn't it? Because some of the footage she shot. Can you tell us how you came to work together?
Well, I had the idea of making a film at the child's height. It was really, there have been many, many wonderful documentaries about, as we say, migrants. But my whole idea was to make a film. Those people are like us. Elaha is like a teenage girl here or anywhere in the world. And the idea was to really have her filming, well, find a child who could tell his or her story at his height. How I met Elaha, I'd been filming, actually making workshops in the Greek islands where thousands of children refugees are trapped, in Lesbos and Leros, and then COVID came. And then the fire destroyed the camp of Moria in Lesbos. And I lost track of all the kids I'd been, preparing for the film to see if they all wanted to participate to the experience. And then I met Elaha in the ashes of Moria, and she actually had done a little training, and an NGO had lent her a camera, and she'd been filming for 3 or 4 months. So that was great because I wasn't creating a situation that wasn't existing, giving her a camera. She was already filming, and she was saying that by the act of filming, she was standing. And I thought, okay, and maybe we could make a film together. And then she showed me what she had filmed. And what was incredible, Moria was described as hell on earth at that time. There were 25,000 migrants for capacity in the camp of 3,000. And she had been filming life. She hadn't been filming, she also had created a school where she taught in English because she knew a bit of English. She filmed how the kids were making kites. She was filming birthdays. She was filming life, and she showed, I sensed through her footage the incredible resilience of all the children of war, which I've been seeing over 20 years covering wars. It's always fascinating the way any child is always looking ahead.
Well, let's take a look at the film, its protagonists, and some of the challenges they faced on their journey.
خیلی احساس بد میکنم دریا رو میبینم. خصوصا دریا رو میبینیم هم شبایی که گیم میزنیم در وسطای آب اینا اینجا میباشیم.
بین 3200 نفر در دریای ایجا غرق شدن.
نه جان افغانستان میری؟
نه.
چرا؟
جنگ است. انتاری از دهانه ما میشنیم، غذا میخوریم، انتاری شد، کل شیشه خانه ما تکید. در مدرسه ما انتاری شدم. طالبان.
Now, you mentioned the word resilience there. It's incredible to see the maturity of these tiny children, some of them. And as Elaha says, holding the camera gives her this sense of confidence. What sort of change in her personality did you see during the time that you knew her? Apparently, she wasn't so confident in Afghanistan.
We just discovered through her mum that, in fact, Elaha was very, very shy and very inside herself, very recluse. She wouldn't go to birthdays. She would, and actually, she even had seen doctors in Afghanistan who'd given her antidepressants at the age of 9 or 10. So her parents were very, very worried for her in Afghanistan. And as they went through that huge journey, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iraq, Turkey. As she was going through the obstacles, she became that girl, empowering herself, standing. And then she found the camera. And so it was like a butterfly, she was just, she is an amazing girl. And the way she goes to see the other children, the way she films her family, it is just, there's something very unique, I think.
Yeah, she has.
And the way she talks about also, they fled Afghanistan in 2018. It's not the Taliban that arrived a year and a half ago. They had to flee because there were attacks of the Taliban on their school. They've all been through that. And she also thinks about all her friends who have stayed behind, who who can't go to school. And they did all that journey, those parents, so that their 3 girls, their 2 boys and 3 girls, could go to school. And the dream of all those kids, I mean, of Elaha, her family, but all the kids I met along the road, it's just a simple dream of living at peace, but of school, of just, holding a pen, and be able to learn. And it is a very simple dream, but they certainly believe in their dream.
It certainly comes across. Now, I know that you worked with your sister Emily on the soundtrack for this film. She's an accomplished musician and songwriter. It's the first time you've worked together. We asked her about working on the film with her collaborator, Jaba Balotai, and her artistic interpretation of the themes it covers. Take a listen.
We, Jaba and I, wanted to reach something in the sound that was rough and cathartic and modern, electric, something that would not just be melancholic and sad and dark. For me, it was important because Elaha is she's a strong soul. To honor this, the music had to be full of light as well, not only shadows.
Now, Emily also spoke of wanting to provide a second voice for Elaha. What would you say that second voice highlights or reveals about her personality or creates in terms of atmosphere?
We actually edited the film with Elaha's words, but she read Elaha's words and she made them into those incredible, beautiful songs, inspired by her words. And it was just kind of magic that everything was fitting in, which was, we had no idea if it was going to work.
It is very uplifting.
But it really, the way she would prolong Elaha's, inner voice, and the way she would prolong and give that feeling, that strength and that hope. That was, I think, what we felt strongly about.
Now, you mentioned that education was a major priority for Elaha's parents. That's why they left Afghanistan, so their daughters particularly could be educated. You've worked a lot on that issue, gender-based discrimination and violence. You won the prestigious Albert Londres Prize for Journalism for your documentary, The Curse of Being Born a Girl, in 2006. Almost 2 decades on, do you see a shift in mentalities? Do you see progress on that issue?
In Afghanistan, what is incredibly sad is that for 20 years, women have been empowering themselves. I mean, it was just amazing, the change that has happened. I was there when the Taliban fell, and I witnessed the first years of creation of civil society, and a lot of women just taking, just being active and being teachers, being journalists, so now they fell back in complete darkness and oblivion. I'd say, I don't know, Iran, it's the same thing. I've been working in Iran, but you see those girls standing. I made a film in 2011 about, I'd say, the older sisters of the girls were singing together. And they were very brave, but after 6 months, with so much repression that they all ended up in prison, tortured, and it died little by little, the movement that was in 2009, 2011. Now, they're 14, 15, they're Elaha's age, and they'll go till they die. So I must say, I think there's a new generation who's certainly standing in front of the tanks, in front of the snipers, and it's their moments, despite the repression. So I think there's also seeing Elaha's journey. It's just incredible to see a teenage girl empowering herself like that. That generation is not afraid.
There are reasons to be hopeful then. And coming back to more recent projects, I believe you've just returned from Ukraine, where you're shooting a documentary focused on the war crimes committed by Russia since the invasion of February 2022. You're very familiar with the region, living in Russia for about a decade in the 90s and early 2000s. Your film, Chechnya War Without Trace, deals with the political dynamic there. When you look at what's happening in Ukraine at the moment, how do you see Russia's place on the world stage? Do you think they've reached a point of no return?
Well, certainly. It's what's very hard. We've been making that documentary for a year with Ksenia Bolshakova for Arte. It's the way. There's just no light. The Ukrainians, I just came back yesterday evening. It's amazing the way they're standing. They're tired. It's been 15 months of war. but there's no sense of giving up. It's just they know they're fighting for their survival, the survival of their country. And that's just incredible to witness. Over the months, we've been going regularly for a year, I've never seen, it's just amazing to see. It's never going through moments of despair. We were there in Dnipro just 3 days ago, and missile just killed a woman and her 3 years old daughter, just like that. I mean, there's still, but for Russia, it's just a dead end. I mean, all my Russian friends have left, or in exile, or some in prison. It's just, I'm afraid that there's not much light ahead, and it's become a clear dictatorship. Mm-hmm. And it's just very hard to see how it can end. And many in Ukraine think it's going to last for a very long time.
Well, indeed, many people there have had to leave and start their lives afresh in other countries. So let's leave this show with a glimmer of hope about those who've done that in your film. Manon, thanks so much for joining us today. Life Ahead will be screened later this month on the French national channel France 2, and we're going to wrap up the show with just a little more of the film with the music of Manon Loizeau underscoring those scenes. Otherwise, remember to check out our website and our social media for more arts and culture. There's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.
I can look way up high over the rainbow and search my way to the land from the lullaby. Yes, I can fill your mind world with glitters of blue and tell